I don't know why it does that, but it likes to do that to me. Welcome, everyone, to Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. My name is David Reed. Martin Taichl, who is a Czech-based modeler and Stargate fan, is joining us for this episode. Sir, I am thrilled to have you. How you doing?
Hello, I am thrilled as well, and I'm very honored to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
I appreciate you taking the time. I rarely see such a groundswell of folks online in fandom say, he's got Martin, he's got Martin, he's got Martin. And it's like, and part of me is like, if Martin's this big, why haven't y'all said something? Are there other people that I have to get on that are, you know, that are as big a deal as you? Because there is apparently a huge appreciation and respect for you in the Stargate fan community, especially with all of your modding designs. And I really appreciate you being here to explore some of your stuff. How long have you been a Stargate fan?
Well, I have seen the movie when it came out it was 94 or 95. But bear in mind, back then I was just a kid and I was a stupid kid. And for the first time, I wasn't that impressed by that. But fortunately, I grew up a little bit, and in 1 year, just 1 year, I started to watch the TV series, and I immediately fell in love with it, even with the movie. Yeah, I don't think I have seen any movie so many times as Stargate. There was actually a time that I watched it twice a day, and
wow, that's commitment, man.
Yeah, and I had all the seasons on VHS back then. Yeah, so yeah, I know it from the top of my head, basically.
What is it that grips you?
I actually received this question already, but I don't know how to answer it. I don't know. Everything. One thing that really hooked me was Goa'uld, because from very early childhood I loved mythologies, and I also very much loved I call it retractable technology. And when you remember Horus and Anubis and Ra in the movie, that immediately I loved, and this was, I would say, a hook for me.
Okay, so things that fold away into nothing. It's like, okay, how did that work?
Yes,
like the iris.
A little bit of cheating.
A little bit of cheating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found someone online had done a physical iris and had made it like fold over into itself and then undo. It doesn't move as fast as the iris in the show does, but it does work. And that always surprised me because I was convinced that that could not happen. Now, I don't know if it folds inside of the Stargate. It might fold behind his version of the Stargate, but it did work. And I was like,
well,
this is
I guess you are talking about me, to be honest.
Was this you?
I did a working Stargate iris.
Why haven't you been on before, man? Where have you been? All right.
Yeah.
So is that on your YouTube channel? Where is that file?
I will try to find the video very quickly for you. But in the meantime, let me tell you kind of a funny story. My friend and colleague who also loves Stargate told me that iris, as shown in Stargate, is impossible. And sure, that's true. But I told him that I will do it anyway, even though it's impossible. And I managed it only because the thickness of individual blade is just 0.2 millimeters. That's why it's bendy, and that's why it is possible to be closed. But you should have seen the look on my friend's face when I showed him. He told that, I don't know, it's like a miracle or something. And it was really fun.
Well, I'm looking at this thing right now. So let me see how this.
Yeah, that's it. That's me. That's my bedroom.
Yeah, it's faster than the one in the show.
Yeah, but it's kind of cheating because that's the bending. Yeah,
so
it
what?
Goes outwards. Yeah,
it's
true.
So
true.
what? It probably doesn't stop incoming wormholes either.
No.
So what? Look at this thing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
Okay, so you were going to come on the show today and not show me this?
I did so many models, so I didn't really think about this one. Sorry. But unfortunately,
I'm
this
doing
one is.
I'm doing the Jack O'Neill wormhole of opportunity, gone through the timeline 5 times now. Look, Martin, that is cool.
Thank you.
That is
Thank you.
really, really cool. Do you have any other rabbits up that hat of yours that you would like to pull out before they suffocate themselves down there? Jeez.
Well, there
Man.
were two things which I wanted to achieve. One was the iris, and this test rig kind of proved that it is possible to be done. And the second one, is the retractable helmet, because let's be honest, what we have in the show is no way near as cool as what we have in the movie. Sure. It was show budget, and they couldn't afford CGI for every episode. But I thought that because I am engineer as in real life, I thought that I could design better helmet that retracts better than what we had in the show. And that's what I'm currently working on, and that's I would say the second big achievement I wish to achieve, and hopefully I will succeed. We'll see.
So it's not done yet. The one that we see is a prototype?
It's sure, it's prototype. On the mechanical part, it's done. Yeah, the mechanism is designed, it's printed, it's assembled, and it works. The next step is to actually purchase motors and to make it movable on its own. Yeah, and this is the next
so
step.
What you're doing right now is you have to physically help it do it, and you have a system in place or that in theory will actually do it by itself with the flip of a switch.
Exactly. That's the idea, that I just push a button and then the entire helmet will.
How is it going to do that? What's it going to do? One more time. You are a sport. Awesome, brother. We used to do that to each other in high school. It's an old joke. Sorry. That's just exceptional. Do you have it? Can you demonstrate its doing with us? As near enough? Do you have it? Do you have a did you bring the physical copy?
Well, I have the physical model here. I can theoretically somehow. Well, I'm not really sure how to show it. I would rather show the CG model because that's more convenient, to be honest.
You made us. You're not talking about the one from the movie, are you? Or do you have a link for me? Or is it in the video that you sent me?
Now you kind of lost me, to be honest.
Okay, how can you? Please show me a link to the CG model. Or did you send it to me?
No. I wanted to share. I wanted to share the screen and show the 3D model in the actual program.
You're gonna break my software on this side.
Okay. Then sorry. So in that case, I will send you link.
You know what? Let me try this. Just a second here. Hang on. One moment. Okay. And go ahead and do your worst. Go ahead and request sharing, and I'll just pick up the pieces on this side.
So I'm sharing. Is it visible?
It is. Just a second here.
Okay.
Okay. And all right, everybody, this is how the sausage is made. Oh my golly! Wow.
So just a short introduction. This is just a testing rig. Yeah. This is not something that will be there. This is just for now for assembling, for testing, and in the end, it won't be there, and instead there will be this collar. Yeah. Made of several pieces, and it will be one big assembly. Yeah. But for now, I have it in this test rig, and
so just to properly set the stage,
Exactly.
Your intent is to create a serpent helmet that completely puts itself away?
Well, not completely, but better than in the show. Yeah,
Okay.
because one thing that kind of bothered me in the show was that even when the helmet was open, then the face was basically half obscured anyway. And there were some shots where, for example, Apophis was barely even visible.
This is true.
So my
He's in a
idea
turtle
was,
helmet, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So my idea was that the head would be fully revealed, and yes, that would be back on the collar. And but unlike the show, I decided to put the no. Well, you will see it here. So basically, the idea is that first those side panels will open. They hold these two pieces together, and then the entire part will slide down like this. And this is one mechanism, and just one movement will do everything. Yeah. So it will
You have to do that
basically.
again, please.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. Don't worry. And it does something like this, and then close. Yeah. So probably this will be better for imagination. And now I have our little Jaffa. So first this open, and then this entire thing will retract like this. Yeah, so basically the head is
Wow.
Do I still share?
You do still share. Wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow. I'm just silent, not by choice. I'm just kind of mesmerized with what you've done. How long has this taken to design?
Well, I started with it in the end of November last year, and in the end of the year, I actually took 1 more week of a vacation just to work on it in peace. And yeah, but this is a true R&D project, so I already printed so many stuff which I already threw away, not because it was faulty, but because it's iterations, and
Right.
iterations.
You go through a process to arrive at this.
Exactly.
Gosh.
Yeah. And the idea is that the Serpent Helmet is in the front, so that first thing first, it's the mass is better centered. Yeah, so because in the show everything was in the back, and yeah, as you can see, the head, I would say, is fully visible, and
okay. Yeah, so can you take us directly over the top of him, looking down at him? Is that a thing you can do with this? It hasn't moved.
And what exactly would you like me to do?
I'd like to see over the top of his head, directly above him. If you could move it to there.
I did.
Oh, it's frozen then. Can you unshare and then share again, please? Thank you. I'd like to see the animation from a couple of different angles.
Do you already see it?
Now I see a big green box like a green screen.
Oh, okay. Then I have no idea what went wrong.
Technology went wrong, my friend. Technology. Okay, you can stop sharing. That's exceptionally cool. Did you stop sharing?
Yeah, now I stopped sharing.
Okay, there we go. Do me a favor and share it again now.
Okay. I don't see anything even in my own preview, so I guess it's screwed.
There we go. Chinese technology in its glory. Appreciate you, brother. Let's go ahead and cancel that. That's awesome. Dude, this is exceptionally cool. And I can't wait to see its like final product fully unveiled here, because I can't believe you pulled that off. That is so ridiculously cool. Okay, so what kind of an engineer are you?
I work in Siemens Mobility. We design rail vehicles, mainly trains. I currently work on high-speed train for America, believe it or not. And
wow. Well, we certainly need more of them over here. That's Man, dude, that is exceptional. I am just reconfiguring to take us back to where we were. I apologize here, but you have provided us a video of your collection, which I would like to go through here in just a moment. Your collection is not on the premises with you, is that correct? It's offsite.
I had so much stuff that I had no place for it, so I had to basically rent a room, and I made it my showroom.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Well, give me just a moment here. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share your showroom with fans, and they can have a look at some of your other stuff. Now, you're not going to be able to hear this, but myself and the audience will. I may stop and start at beats to comment on stuff and ask you to provide greater context. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, here we go. Just be patiently with us there in silence while we go through this. This is 8 minutes on my end, folks, but we're probably going to spend a lot more time than that as we go through this and watch this unfold.
Welcome, everybody. I am Martin, and this is my showroom. As you can see, I have quite a lot of stuff here, but the focus for today will be only Stargate stuff. So, without further ado, let's start with Stargate. And we start right here, which is, let's say, a Goa'uld corner. And here, as you can see, we have small models of Kelps and Hatak class pyramid ships. And then here we have the Anubis Mothership or Sokar Mothership.
Dude, this mothership design, you say it's Sokar's. Are you saying that Apophis stole the technology from Sokar? Is that your excuse behind that?
He stole his entire army.
That's certainly true. Certainly true. But we didn't see this design until after O'Neill and company accidentally destroyed it in upgrades. You know, it would have been so much. That's my issue with upgrades.
No.
Is that
in upgrades, it was different ship.
I mean, it was under construction. Who's to say what it would have looked like? But yeah, we're just a few episodes before though. It's one of my issues with upgrades. It's like they shouldn't have succeeded. They should have failed, because when we see him in this thing, not a season later, it makes sense that he would have completed it. So I assumed that ring around the one that we saw in upgrades was some kind of construction scaffold to get all the pieces down to the lower one. But this, back to the model, dude, this thing is so exceptionally cool. How big is that across? From what is the diameter or something like that?
This is not as big, I would say. I don't know. If you imagine a circle, I would say maybe 50 centimeters.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe 40. It's not that big. There are certainly bigger.
Wow. Okay. And we only see it unfolding and folding in one scene, and that's in the Serpent's Venom.
Indeed. And that's why it is possible here as well. This model can do that.
It can.
Yeah. I didn't show it in the video, but it can fold those pylons or whatever to make that. I don't even know why it did in the show, but
it's
the
probably
model
an attack position of some sort, like
I
Anubis had.
guess.
Yeah, it looks cool. You don't need a reason. It just does what it does. Whatever it does, it's doing it right now. It's very nicely doing it. So really cool. I love this design. I loved it from the show. I was so disappointed that we only saw it in one season. It's a great piece of work. So let's move on.
Mothership. Here I have a Stargate chess. Here I have a Stargate.
Whoa!
Apophis Mothership.
You can't blow by it like that. Let's go back.
Here I have a Stargate chess.
It's like, here I have a Stargate chest. Now onto this Stargate. No, stop! Do you realize?
I actually spoke a little bit about that, but in the end the video was way too long, so I had to cut it down.
Who cares? I don't care. Do you have the original cut sitting around somewhere?
I have to admit, this chess. This is a very big surprise for me because I took my models for various expos, Comic Cons and stuff like that, and I have been very, very surprised how much the chess is popular with kids.
Dude, it's not just a very big surprise to you. It's a great surprise to me because this past, I don't know how familiar you are with this show, but this past December, we had our annual Stargate Fan Creations, and there was a TikToker who posted a video of a Stargate chess set, and it was this chess set. I didn't realize that you made this.
Yeah,
So I gave someone else credit for something that you did. So now I feel like a boob. That is so
that's not necessary.
Cool. Necessary or not, it's how I feel. So what is this? I'm trying to this little brown critter
That's
here.
Aurora.
It's Aurora.
Yeah, it's so small that it doesn't look that great.
Well, I mean, regardless, it's still friggin' awesome. This thing, I was mesmerized when I saw it. I was going through Facebook and seeing various TikTok videos that somehow made their way to Facebook. I don't have TikTok. I couldn't believe it. It's so cool. What gave you the idea to do a chess set with the Stargate spaceships?
Well, I love chess. Most of those models I already had, so it wasn't really not a brain teaser. And to be honest, I have a friend who actually told me to do upgrade for it or next edition, let's say, that would replace the Goa'uld with raids. And first, I didn't want to do it because there are basically no units for raids. But I also, one of the things which I do is I am one of the authors of the Stargate Pegasus Chronicles, the game, and there I make models, and we have quite a big fleet of custom ships for raids from the gameplay reason. So I was actually thinking to utilize them, and who knows, maybe I will do it.
Stargate Chronicles, explain, please.
Stargate Empire War Pegasus Chronicles.
Okay, so it's a mod from Star Wars Empire at War.
Yes. It's a total conversion, and we are active for many years already. And I'm one of the authors.
Oh my gosh! Wow, dude. Well, I'm just making all kinds of discoveries right here because this is.
Those are Asurans. Those are Asurans. Or ancients. Yeah, I cannot say from. Those were ancients. Yeah, that's one of the things. We also added ancients as a faction because we have their basically story galactic.
So
Something
this is
like
set
campaign.
during the 100-Year War.
It's set during the Pegasus, the raid and ancient war. So even if you win, you lose. You always have to lose the campaign.
Right. Yeah, the ancients have to fold.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Well, I'm adding that episode to the list. So thank you. So we're gonna have to pick your brain as to who is best to come on and feature. I've seen that online. I didn't know its name though. So that's really cool there. I've reached out to someone at one point who was playing it and asked them to come on and never heard back from them, which is their purview. But now I'm on the inside with you, so extremely cool. Let's go ahead and take more of a look around here. I'm sorry, I'm completely butchering your narration in this video.
Here I have a Stargate in the off-world pedestal with THD. Here the Dead Glider. This is one of the oldest models I have here. So the wings can go down, just like in the series. The cockpit can open, the staff cannons can be detached, and the whole bottom can retract, just like in the series. But the model is actually quite old, and most of that stuff no longer really works. The same goes with the Teltag. This is actually a version which have the wings completely retractable, just like the wall. but unfortunately, as you can see, this model is, after all those years, barely holding together. So,
Okay, so one of the now you see it, now you don't trickery, sleight of hand things with SG-1, particularly in season 3, was they had this cargo ship introduced, and when it's in the landed and docked position, the wings fold away. Are you saying that you contrived a way to have the cargo ship
Yeah,
unfolded in its flight position?
certainly.
Certainly. Like it's a Sunday drive, as casual as that. You figured out the architecture to that. That is so
Well,
wild.
you cannot imagine it like it was in the show. Basically, the entire back of the ship is filled with those contracted wings. Yeah, but it was possible to do it. But unfortunately, yeah, the model is quite old, and it
So you
it
could
shows.
build another one that could.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. I may have to ask you for one. Because that is because you can display it in either configuration. That's really
Yeah,
awesome,
sure.
man. That's amazing. All right. And the piece de resistance.
here was my Serpent Helmet in 1/3 scale, which I did back then. It can open, but I have only one hand, so I will not show it to you right now. It looks very, very small compared to the helmet I have now in my apartment. Anyway, here we have smaller models, let's say dioramas. This is basically a Herur's Stargate. Yeah, so he has here the DHD, the gate itself, and then his Horus statues, let's say. Here we have the statues in bigger and with a candle, tea candle. This one is electric, but you can use a normal one. Then I made this small
cool
diorama, which I called Attack on Delmak. Yeah, it is non-canon. It is basically attack on the planet as we have seen it in several episodes, but with Tauri ships. Yeah, so this is basically my kind of invention.
What is this flat surface to the right
That's
over here
actually
in front of the two?
That one and the white on and the one on the right side. Those are parts of the Apophis mothership. Yeah, that's the pylon that can actually rotate. The one on the right side, and on the left side, that's part of the superstructure.
Oh, and why are they there?
Because the idea is that all those gray pieces are things under the construction. Yeah, so you can see that there are two hattaks under constructions, and that there on Delmak, he actually built that big mothership.
I see. Okay. That makes a lot of sense then. So it's a shipyard as well as just a docking area. Okay.
Exactly.
Very cool. I knew there was logic to it. I knew it wasn't random. That's why I asked. You were going to give an answer. I wasn't gonna catch in something. There is clearly a design rationale to everything you've done.
And here in the top,
oh my!
This is, as you can see, a Anubis mothership with few small hattaks attached to it. Only two. Originally, I have hattak attached to every single port, but over the years I gave few of them up or I sold them, and so now I can only have those two.
What? That was so cool. How big is that thing? That's
too big.
Too big?
Yes. Too big. So that I no longer even take it with me to some expos because it's pain in the ass to actually transport it because how big it is. I already twice almost gouged my eyes by those pylons, and I decided to keep it there. I don't know, in diameter I would say around a meter.
Wow.
And it could open just like in the show. there is a mechanism that the entire ship could extend and
How was
open.
it? How did that happen? Like that?
Yes, like that.
Lockwatcher wanted to know, and I asked this at this junction, what was the longest 3D print to print for you of the Stargate items, and how long did it take?
Well, last year I took a custom for a custom order, and the customer wanted to have a gate, like you see behind me, but this one would be 2 meters in diameter, so that you can actually go through it, and to it, DHD in 1:1 scale. Yeah, so basically working as a real life prop. And that was without a doubt the longest sprint I've ever done. And it took me, I did it in a row. Yeah, I did first the gate and then the DHD, but right after each other. And it took me more than half a year before I finished it. And yeah, I was quite drained by that.
How many kilos of filament did you go
I
through
don't even
to pull
want
that
to know
thing
that.
off? I want
Too
to
many.
know.
Many kilos. Yeah. Basically,
God.
when we moved it, when the customer came for it, I tried to help him to move it. Yeah, to disassemble it and move it. And my bag was kind of destroyed because of that. So yeah, it was quite heavy.
Do you have any photos of this DHD?
I do, and I can send it to you.
Please and thank you.
I can send you a whole article. Article I have made about it.
Okay.
With pictures and could it be on Messenger?
It could be.
Or
be.
Here is a chat. Okay, I will send it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Sorry, I'm not that well versed with Zoom.
All right, give me just a second here. Okay. Oh, I've seen this.
You are almost like a stalker.
Well, I mean, a reporter must keep himself in the know.
Yeah, that's true.
This was yours. Okay.
Yes, that was me.
Very good. I think Lockwatcher shared something about this. I'm trying to remember. Maybe that wasn't Lockwatcher. Maybe it was someone else. I'm trying to remember who. My gosh. And so this lights up.
Yeah, every button will lit. The activation button will lit. And then here, after the next picture, there will be crystals. Those will also be lit. There will be sounds, and it will serve to open the gate.
Yeah, to where? Jeez, dude, this
depends on what address you put there.
Touche. Very cool, man. All right.
Here I have another, diorama, something I came up with myself, and this is not the Jaffa joke, because this is Anubis and not Set, and basically this is representing a small council a few thousand years ago, when Ra still ruled over the System Lords. And basically, this is for those three, for Apophis, for Heru-Ur, and for Anubis. And this is ruled over the System Lords.
So what I'm trying to see what that statue is in the center there, because it doesn't look like the helmet that Heru-Ur had in Thor's chariot. What is that helmet of?
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's just the
helmet, but yeah, from that angle, it looks exactly the same as on that candle holder which you've seen before.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I agree. From that angle,
and
it doesn't
this
look
is
like that. Yeah.
My original Stargate diorama. I call it Apophis Summer Palace, and this is basically model which my original model, which I based on as a hybrid, sort of the design from the movie and from the series. So lots of the ornaments and details that you can see here are taken from the movie. Plus,
Wow.
there is also a Stargate with DHD and rings. We have Teltag, which is parked there. And inside the hangar bay, we have 2 gliders.
Wow.
The entire model is actually lit, but unfortunately all the lights are now without the charge. I'm sorry, I forgot to charge them. And
Well, look at the little serpent heads coming out of the sides of it. This is so thought through.
there is also Apophy's private room. You cannot see inside, but inside is also a sarcophagus. And here is a throne room, but I don't suppose you will see very well inside. Sorry for that. It was...
Peter Williams would go nuts right now with this. He would actually be going crazy.
As I said.
Funny that you mention it, because last year he actually was here in Brno Comic Con together with Chris Judge and Tony Amendola, the big 3. And if you remember that diorama before this one with those 3 statues, I lended the Apophis statue to my friend, and she brought it with her because I didn't attend the Comic Con. When she went for photos with Peter Williams, she took it, and he fell in love with it, and he wanted to do all the pictures with that golden statue.
Oh, that's
because
cool.
he loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, too bad. She told me that only after the fact. If she told me when it was going on, I would say to her just that he could keep it. I would be honored to give it to him, but I didn't know that.
Well, this is exceptionally cool, dude.
I forgot to charge the light. Here I have
Whoa!
bigger Stargate Universe gate, which I did just because why not? And here I have a new version of Hatak, because I wanted to make a bigger one with more details. So this is actually Hatak of Ra, as you can see.
Wow, yeah.
And here I create a Kelps class. I didn't do hieroglyphics as they were done on the prop, but I basically used the symbols of the system lords and some Stargate stuff to...
And yourself on the right over here. That's your symbol, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
There we go. I see what you're doing there. I pick up what you're putting down.
To create some kind of story. Yeah, so it is there. And this model has one unique feature.
What?
It opens secret area, which includes a bottle. Okay, here I have my Jaffa. Yeah,
wow.
Temporary, as you can see, with the Dead Space helmet, but that's only temporary. Here we have a Replicator Rudla. This is movable Replicator. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, this is the main Stargate.
Okay, whoa. Stop.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did it take to unspool the engineering of building this that is just crazy.
Well, I actually designed my first replicator as a very first model when I got my printer. Okay. But it was not good. Yeah, I had to glue everything, and I hate gluing. So I gave it away. I gave it to my friend in Germany, and decided I will make a Mark II. And the Mark II would be like a Lego, like a kit that you will put together. And because as a kid, as a child, I didn't have almost any toys. I had only Lego. Yeah, basically when I saw something on TV which I wanted, I built it from Lego. So I took that knowledge, that experience, and applied it to 3D printing, and I designed this replicator Rudla.
You sure did. Jeez, man, that's just wild. I have two of them. I had the Mark I from Nemesis, and then I have the Mark II that was introduced in season 5 in Enemies, and they're exceptionally cool. The guy by the name of Kevin Szabo out of Hungary made them, and I'm waiting for a third one to come along at some point here. I'm just trying to figure out, like, because it's man, this is just rockin' cool. Very, very cool.
So yeah, this is the main Stargate area.
Wow.
As you can
Dude, we're
see,
just getting started.
there is quite a lot of it. So
Yeah.
this is the original Daedalus, back when it was still BC 303, before they switched to 304. Then we have Tauri Star,
Okay.
original Daedalus,
So-
back when...
This here, I think, wasn't this... I'm trying to remember. Wasn't this a conceptual design of Daedalus,
Exactly.
if I'm not mistaken? So is this the 3/4 view of the one that's... I'm trying to remember. That's actually seen in Mobius on the monitor?
Yes, exactly. Well, there was the concept art which I used to make this model, and then based on that concept art, they made this top view which we saw in Mobius and in Unending. I don't understand. I don't know why it is in Unending, but it is there. And in the top view from Mobius, they made it a little bit sleeker. Yeah, it looked more like Prometheus, which made sense. Yeah, it basically was a production version of Prometheus. Yeah? But I liked the bulkier version from the concept art, so I went with it because it's more like a battleship, or I don't know. I simply like the design. Well, don't get me wrong. The Daedalus Class 304 is the best design in all sci-fi. Yeah, but yeah.
Art is purely subjective. I've said that before. I'm sure I will say it again. And there is, like, it's hard to tell why one thing appeals to us over another. It's like, I don't know. I just liked this one, and I completely get it for sure.
304. Then we have Tauri Stargate and SGU Stargate. We have Atlantis, which is my probably most successful model. And with it, fleet more or less in scale. We see a Space Gate and a successful model. And with it,
you're just flying through these here. Okay, so I gotta ask: is this a head crab from Half-Life?
Yes, exactly.
That's
it's
what I thought.
Crab.
So, what is Lamar doing on Atlantis, and why is she so big?
I actually received it as a gift when I was on Maker's Fair almost. One of the fans came and said that he's very glad to meet me, and as a present gave me that head crab. And
I'm sure
ever
the citizens
since
of Atlantis really appreciate you.
Yeah, and ever since I go to some expo or whatever, I always bring it together and always show it with it as a appreciation. You can imagine it's an overgrown replicator.
It's very replicator-like. I will give you that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Lamar, man, this is so cool, dude. How long did it take to design this?
The Atlantis?
Yeah.
I believe the model itself took me 1 or 2 months to design, and then around a month to print and to paint, because this is one of the models which I had to paint, and that took me quite a lot of time.
What are these gold domes?
I don't know. They are part of the model, so
they're on the actual ship.
Yeah.
Interesting. Must be some kind of shielded.
You can consider them Weareables.
Okay, I shall do that. Let's continue.
Fleet more or less in scale. We see a space gate, and then the ancient fleet.
Wow.
Plus Prometheus. Now the Wraith fleet. Orite fleet with Orite Gate, which I invented.
Yeah.
And the X302. And here we have the BC304, my own, which is called Ares, as you can see here. Then O'Neill class, Vanir ship,
Vanir,
Beliskner, and here we have a jumper, paddle jumper, and F302. So yeah, so this is my showroom when it comes to Stargate. All the models that you can see here are free. They are designed by me, and everybody can download them. And yeah. So I guess that's all. I hope you liked it, and now we can move on. So bye bye.
So that was my showroom.
There are no words, and that's just the Stargate
Welcome,
stuff.
everybody.
True, yeah.
That's just absolutely wild, man. Thousands and thousands of hours of development and printing and everything. What Raj Luthra wanted to know, what is the easiest thing that came together out of the Stargate collection? Is that something that you could narrow down if you think back?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that.
Okay. Yeah, it's awfully easy is probably not an accurate descriptor for something in this collection, because you know, it all goes through its own process, and there are things about it that are going to come together faster than others, but that fast does not necessarily mean easy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
okay. Wow, Raj wants to know, can we ask you to can I ask you to pay me something, can we ask you and pay to make something, e.g. Daedalus class? So you take commissions.
Well, yes and no. I take commissions when I don't do anything for myself and I'm free to print on demand. But that's usually not the case. So quite often when anybody asks me to print something for them, I basically refer them to my two friends who do the prints of my stuff on demand. And but that's all only after when we kind of because printing something for somebody, it's not the worst part. The worst part is actually the shipping. Yeah, to ship it to the customer. And if the customer is overseas, it's very, very big problem.
It
Because
can eclipse
then,
the amount of money it costs to make it.
exactly, the shipping is more expensive, and you have no guarantee that what you receive is the model of the ship or just a bunch of broken plastic. Yeah, so
true.
I always because my models are free, so anybody can print them. So I always, when I'm contacted by, let's say, people from Australia or from America, then I told them to reach to the printing community in their area, that it will be way easier and way cheaper for them than from me from the Central Europe to send it to them.
That's a perfectly fair point. The trick is, like finding a competent printer is one thing. Finding a good painter is something else. The trick is to finding them both in one person, and that's rare.
Yes, you are correct. But most of the stuff which I design, I try to design so that I don't have to paint it. So yes, Atlantis is one of the early models. So there I still have to paint quite a lot. But in the later models, because I personally hate to paint, I design them in such a way that you don't have to take the brush into hand at all.
Wow. Oh boy. Renee Lorraine asked, "Does it light up?" Renee, can you please be specific and submit again with specifying which
I guess
you were
it was
referring?
for the Atlantis. My personal
Oh,
doesn't, but there is cable management, so it could be lit. All the buildings in the center are hollow, and I've seen
okay.
many people who build it with the lights inside, and it looks really, really nice.
Wow, that's exceptional. Okay. Hannah K wanted to know, how do you pull off the different textures? How does that work in something like this?
I'm not sure what is meant by that.
Do you know what textures are?
Yes, but not in
Are you
this
saying it's
case.
all the same? It's all the same texture? Everything comes out looking exactly the same? No, there's
Well,
nothing that has a rough surface. There's nothing that has a smoother surface or a metallic surface, or is that all paint?
mm, well, uh, it's well, in the ships, basically everything, our ships, yeah, Tauri, they are all metallic. Yeah, 303 is more like a silver, and 304 is more darker, but metallic nonetheless. So basically, there when I printed the Daedalus, I didn't even have to paint by paint spray, and or did I? Yeah, maybe I'm not sure about it, but uh, sure. For example, the Prometheus, when it was done and printed, I sprayed it with the silver color, silver spray, to give it that shine that it had in the show. When it comes to the gold, the same. Their stuff is quite a lot gold and this dark gray, yeah, or black. So yeah, but those are just colors. I'm not sure
Mm,
about textures, to be honest.
okay, okay. But I mean, we fill in the details of our heads with videos
Mm.
when we see things that are a little bit more obscured. Um, okay. Emma Bentley wants to know, do you plan on producing an 80 centimeter Atlantis Stargate? And for us Imperials, that's 2.5 feet diameter.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I
a
know
big
because
model. That's bigger
I
than a centerpiece for a table.
because I recently released the SG-1 and she actually just made it. I received that question already. I don't know, maybe because I have the one behind me and
Mm-hmm.
basically I can use it and just exchange the inner ring for the display one and change the color of the inner chevrons and yeah, basically that's done. Yeah, so the problem
How many?
is, I never publish anything which I don't print myself,
Okay.
and I have to be sure that
Yes.
everything works. And the problem is that even with my showroom, I don't really have a place for another 80 centimeter Stargate. So that's one thing because of which I am kind of hesitant to do the Atlantis one.
Okay. Understood. What's the diameter of the one behind you?
80 centimeters.
That's an 80 centimeter gate. Okay, got it. That's the one
Yeah.
that they're talking about. Okay, very good. Wow. Okay. Raj Luthra, you mentioned that you have built things with Lego, but have you played games such as Minecraft, Kerbal Space Program, Space Engineers, etc.?
Nope. I
Okay.
once tried Kerbal Space Engineers, but the game didn't really agree with me or I with it. And after several minutes, I gave up. But no, no.
Wow. Okay. Man, it's impressive. Uh,
Thank you.
how the content that we've seen, how many years of work does that represent? That first Death Glider that you built, how long ago was that?
That was one of the first that was one of the first models I did. I would say it was done in the first year of my model designing. So I would say some 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. Yeah,
So
that
you've
was
only been
basically the
doing
first
this.
one where I tried to make a model with some features. Yeah, the folding wings, the cockpit, yeah, and so on. And yeah, back then when it was created, when it was brand new, it worked perfectly. But after the years, unfortunately, the PLA from which I print, it it gets old. Yeah, let's put it like that.
Well, that mothership that you built that hid the wine bottle, that is an excellent way to hide something.
Yeah,
no one would have ever thought, if I twist this thing and the whole thing unfolds, it's like, wow, okay then. Man.
I actually won a contest with it. There was a contest for a hidden area, a hidden compartment, and I said, "What the hell? I will try. Maybe somebody will like it." And I won the first place with it.
Well, it's not just that it's a hidden compartment. It unfolds so gracefully. There's no other word for it. It just like fell back into place. It's like, I'm just sitting here mesmerized looking at it. Lockwatcher, how many printers do you currently have and what type do you use?
Currently, I have 4 printers, only Prusa printers. I am, what's the word in English for it? Yeah, the Prusa is Czech brand. I'm Czech, so not nationalist. That's not so good. Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're a patriotic.
Patriot, yeah, patriot.
You wanna Prusa,
yeah.
PRUSA?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I like 3 out of the 5 letters. No, I'm kidding. No, look at this. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I have 4 and 3 MK4S and 1 Core 1.
And oh man, 3D printers.
But I owned many more printers over the years.
Makes sense. So you have this one.
Well, we can say, yeah, this is Core 1 Plus. I have normal Core 1 without the Plus, but there is minimal difference.
I was gonna say, what's the plus? Yeah, no, this is filaments. Look at this. Just
some
extra
automation
features.
And nothing serious.
So, can you combine colors at this stage? Is that a thing, or
that's
is
exactly
that not
what I
possible
do
yet?
Not that to mix them, but to make a model which is, let's say, partly blue, partly black. Yeah, so that's what I do. For example, that Cheops class that you just mentioned. Yeah, there isn't a single paint. It's everything printed in color. Yeah, so there is a bronze and there is a gold or golden, and it is basically first it prints bronze, then gold. And I just, in the middle of printing, I just change the filament, and then it is done, and I don't have to paint anything.
Don't have to mess with it. Wow. So they're so close together that our eye tricks us into seeing that it's a color that it isn't when individually. Is the color exchanging with the other color so fast that when you stand back and look at it, it looks like it's something different?
No, just imagine it that half of the model is bronze, another half is gold, for example.
Okay. So there's sections of the model that is bronze and sections that is gold. Like
this, yeah. It was first black, and then the rest is printed in the silver or gray.
I see.
And it will then create this shape.
Got it. Understood. Wow. That's legit, man. Very cool. What's next? Is there anything that you are developing that you haven't mentioned? Or are you focused on the full-size helmet and...
Well, after the helmet, I would like to still continue with 3D printing, but I would like to make a little bit of a break with Stargate, because basically I spent with Stargate the entire last year, and this is also quite time-consuming. I have this idea about kind of set for a space shuttle. I plan to make a new version of Space Shuttle with retractable landing gear and cargo bay and everything, which could be also attached to the Boeing, which could be attached to the booster pack, which had the launch tower and some satellite, for example. And basically, I am in talk with our local planetarium that I would basically donate those models to them as a showcase how the actual space shuttle worked.
Wow. So this is something I would like to do. Is that part of the reason why you had posted originally on Facebook about the space shuttle and the Death Glider?
No. It's
Completely different.
Completely unreliable. Unrelated. Sorry, unrelated.
Okay.
We were in a talk with somebody online. I don't remember who, and there was this question: how those gliders came down, and I
Exactly.
just start to thinking, I have the model, I have both of them, I could have them in proper scale, so why don't I test it?
Man, yeah. Folks, go through down our clips page a little bit, and you will find two conversations. One about the how the gliders from Apophis Mothership or Horror's or not Horror's Mothership, but Chlorel's Mothership would have fit in the bay inside of the space shuttle. And then we got into a little bit exploring, what else? Oh, the size of the F-302. Yeah, how much larger it is compared to a Death Glider, which makes sense because, you know, it's a version 1.0 of our technology. Things are just going to be bigger. So very cool, man. This has been a treat to have you to explore all this stuff. Is there anything else that I'm missing that you would like to educate me on? I am all ears.
Educate you?
Yeah, that's possible. Like, I didn't even know that this could be a thing. This is radical and wild. I guess it comes down to your engineering prowess and your determination and just, you know, an indomitable spirit to keep on trying things until you get it exactly how you want it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the beauties of 3D printing, yeah, because I personally, since I was a kid, I always want to create. That's why I played so much with Lego. But I couldn't really create something from nothing, when we say that like that, because I have my both hands left. Yeah, so I was very not skilled with any crafting. And 3D printing is something that will completely took this out of the equation, and I design something, and it will create it for me. Yeah, so it's I always describe it like this: it's extremely satisfying emotion when you are lying in bed in the middle of the night and you have idea. And let's say a week later, you hold that idea in your hand, and it works exactly like you imagined it. Yeah, that's very satisfying for me, and that's why I do what I do.
Well, I am putting Martin's link to Printables right now into the live stream's description. Let's take a look before we let you go here. Wow, the Valkyrie shuttle from Avatar. That's really cool. There is gold candle holder. There we go. I like it. And Dead Space, the Normandy, a Surin light corvette. Is that what we call it?
Well, I call it like that, or we call it like that in Pegasus Chronicles. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we already have cruiser. Which was somebody or some people don't like that there is my logo on my models, but
dude, they don't like it. They can make their own.
Well, because I put them for free. There are unfortunately some people who try to take advantage from it and try to sell them as their own, even though they are for free. So at least one thing to kind of make it more difficult for them is to put the logo on it. So
that's it. Yeah. Wow. I did not know that this was a thing on this website. I'm kind of, I'm kind of mesmerized right now. Look at that. That is so cool. Yeah. So this is my favorite spaceship in all of Star Trek canon. So
and it could also detach to vector assault mode.
Yeah, multi-vector.
Yeah, my model can detach to 3. I design it in such a way that it is possible. So,
dude, you could probably make this thing sing and dance. Okay, we didn't spend enough time with the wraiths, the wraith ship. So this is this a hive ship that actually comes with the cruisers?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Because I always loved it. I was
We only saw it once
yes,
with
we
because
only
I
saw it in
assumed
the
that the
first
cruisers
season.
didn't have hyperspace, but they do.
Yeah.
So,
We
but they're not very strong.
because I would really love to have here somebody who worked on this models for the first season, because I was no, um, basically I figured from the watching the show that the hives from the first season, the three ones, are not full size. They are very small. We can see it
Yeah.
clearly because they have the cruisers attached, and the cruisers are only 600 meters long. And
Yeah. The hive
right
ships that come later are bigger.
in the first episode of the second season, yeah, the Siege Part 3, then those next hives are way, 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 way bigger. Yeah,
Yep.
and thus I kind of called this hive juvenile hive. Yeah, that it is still not fully grown. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a bad idea. Let's say that Fandom didn't like it at all, that I dare to call it a juvenile, that I say that it is small, because it was small. It was way smaller than the ships, than the hives later. But yeah. Yeah, this is something I didn't really want to do, those raid ships. I really suck with organic stuff.
I see what you're saying. Well, they don't lend themselves to the what these printers tend to print out, which is something that's far more typically metallic and, well, inorganic.
No. You can print
No?
some figures, yeah, and stuff like that. That's not the problem for me. The problem was to actually make the models from it. Yeah, so the hive, that wasn't fun for me. That was really a chore, and I really wanted to be done with it, and never come to it ever again. And it was a very different type of modeling than what I'm used to, and I didn't really enjoy that. But for the sake of completion, I did it. I have the right fleet. Sure, there is also the right shuttle, but who cares?
Okay, jeez. One of the things that I did attribute to someone else, I believe, at least in the fan creations last year, was an Ori Stargate. And you created that. And I am happy to set the record straight here because we don't ever get to see an Ori Stargate in the Ori Galaxy. We get to see a hint of what one might look like with the rings because it's the same basic design, same basic type of technology. But you went ahead and you made this thing. This is absolutely wild.
Yeah, but now I'm a little bit dissatisfied with that pedestal because those steps, well, I certainly wouldn't like to go down from them because they are kind of steep.
Well, sure. Yeah, it's not something you would want to come running back from another planet on. You'd be running into a huge problem, but it's just it's a beautiful piece of work.
Thank you.
So, yeah, very
I
cool.
actually already designed this same concept for our gate. For our game. Yeah, for the Pegasus Chronicle. We never used it, yeah, but I have it there. And once again, I did it basically as a I took the symbols from the rings, the Ori rings, yeah, and instead of normal chevron, I put the symbol because I really like that idea because they put it everywhere, and yeah, that's how I came with this type of gate.
Well, one of the things that we didn't really see so far in your collection that you've done is full-scale wearable pieces, and you've created one that I've got right here. Is this based on the one from the film, or is this a combination?
Well, we could have seen it in the video on the mannequin.
Okay.
Basically, the idea was to create a fully wearable armor, let's say, which is basically a hybrid between what we have seen in the movie and what we have seen in the series. So my internal idea is that this is, I call it a Royal Serpent Guard. And the idea is that, yeah, it will have this gauntlet, then the second one, those legs, the chest plate, and that retractable helmet. And
Wow.
yeah, that's the idea. I hope that I actually will be able to do it.
So cool, man. Predator pieces, that's cool. ED209, my boy. I love this model. I've always loved it. Now, how did you get the texture for the dome?
That's just a print. That's a rough 3D printing. There's no post processing. That's just a print.
Well,
Yeah, I
see, that's
chose
the thing. That's the
this.
thing that confuses me, because are you saying it's just a matte black? Because that looks like a spackled.
No. That's not just a normal black. It's what's that? What's it called?
Yeah, it looks like salt and
Uh,
pepper.
yeah, it's black, but it has this stuff in it. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
remember what is it called. But you can
Now,
see it even. Sorry.
yeah, no, please go ahead.
You can see it even when you look at other black pieces, yeah, like those
Yeah.
machine guns and stuff. That it has the same texture, same seeds or
Mm-hmm.
specs or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And so this is all painted. This is all
Yes.
just filament in the machine.
No. Those yellow stripes and those red dots,
The
those are
missiles,
actually
yeah.
painted with
Okay.
brush.
Okay. Wow, that is so cool. So when I print this, does it come with recommended filaments that I plug in to get the?
No,
No,
it's up
nothing
to
like that
you.
at all. It's up to
It's
you.
up to you. Yeah,
So if I
because
want guidance for that, I'm just hosed.
mhm.
Okay. Okay.
I will tell you to like this. My models are not simple. They are kind of complex. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I assume that somebody would like to print them, then I'm assuming that they know what they're doing. Yeah.
Okay.
So that they know how to orientate, what type of support, if needed, to use and where. Yeah, and stuff like that. I cannot really recommend you a material because maybe you want to do it from a different material that I wanted to do it, and in that case, then everything goes out of the window, and you have to do it everything on your own. Yeah, so
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I appreciate the clarification.
mm,
Good old Ori.
yeah, toilet seat.
The toilet seats, absolutely. Well, one got flushed away in the Pegasus project, so it kind of fits. This was a departure from design. I think it was a bold one. There are things about the design that I do like. I like that it's so. Yes, I already loaded it. Darn it. There are things about it that I really do like. I appreciate that they wanted to try something so very different.
Mm.
It's just whether a person thinks that it has achieved it, a fan thinks that they've achieved it, is up to them. Again, art is purely subjective. Problem is you can't create the energy ball or
Well,
whatever you want to call it. So
actually, you can. I've seen many people who actually made a ball from acrylic and inside put quite a strong LED,
sure,
and it
absolutely.
really,
It
really look
diffuses
nice.
though. I mean, you're going to have a
Yes,
more of a solid surface, but I mean,
yes.
you can imitate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool, man. That's exceptional. Thank you for spending so much time with us today to go through your collection. It means a lot to have you on. It means a lot to know that folks like you are out there sharing your content for free, that you're giving back to your community.
Yeah. That I try.
Well, sure, absolutely.
I try to be quite active, at least in our Czech Stargate fandom. For example, in a month we have a Comic-Con in Prague, and I already know that I will go there and have two, well, presentations, let's say.
Yeah, present. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, and yeah, I try to be active and yeah. engaged because with the fans, because Stargate is quite a big thing here still, because it's still on. Yeah, it finishes and then go straight to the beginning and so on and so on.
Wow.
And yeah, that's
is Atlantis
actually
more popular because of Zelenka? I'm curious.
no, don't even mention Zelenka. That's completely butchered here, and I hate our Czech dubbing for it, because obviously how you do it, yeah, in Czech dubbing, everybody speak Czech, yeah. So they completely butchered Zelenka, and whenever he speaks Czech,
I'm sure he's cursing.
Yeah, but
there's things that he's saying that he couldn't get away with in Czech. That makes sense, doesn't
I will give you example how it is done. When they are in the jumper in Grace under the pressure, he says, do prdele, kdo to vymyslel, že budem pod vodou tentokrát. And Shepard says something like, I think my Czech is getting better because I know what you mean. But in our dubbing, what they did is that Zelenka curses like normally, but Shepard says, I don't know what you said from back then, but I think I understand you. Yeah, he doesn't speak a different language in Czech. Yeah, so the magic is lost for us.
Wow.
But to be completely honest with you, I didn't watch Atlantis with Czech dubbing. I refuse to. To answer your question, no, SG1 is way more popular here, because that is going on and on and on all the time since it ended. It's still on. And actually 3 years ago, when Richard Dean Anderson was here in Prague for Comic-Con, he spoke with the guy who was his chauffeur, yeah, who drove him around Prague. And he told him that he was very surprised that he's so famous here, that so many people recognize him, and that he's such a celebrity. And that's because Stargate is so popular here. And it's on, and we have a very big fandom here.
More than MacGyver?
Way more MacGyver. Way more than MacGyver. I guess you wouldn't find many people here who even know what MacGyver is, but everybody knows O'Neill.
Wow. So this is just over-the-air domestic television. You can find Stargate on how often?
Every day.
7 days a week.
5 days. Sorry, 7 days. Yeah, I think it's also on weekends. Yeah.
Yeah. Prime time? Is it like 7 o'clock at night?
No, it's in afternoon. It's in afternoon.
Okay, after the kids get home from school.
Yeah. Okay. I actually think it is 1 or 2 episodes a day. So they very quickly go from episode 1 to unending, and then they go back from and always go around. So it's still on.
In order. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
2 episodes a day, so 14 episodes a week. Yeah, you would move through the show pretty quickly, for sure. 2.5 times, 3 times a year. That's just wild, man. Martin, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being so open. I would really love to have you and a group of Czech fans to come on and share your more about your culture's love for this franchise, like I've already done with the French and with the German audiences. Would you be willing to do that?
Certainly. Would be my honor.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about dates then, because I definitely do want to make that happen. So this has been a tremendous fun. This has been an educational process for me. I've learned a lot, and that alone was worth it. So thank you so much for taking time.
You are most welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show on this side, but I'll be in touch with you soon. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Martin Taichl from the Czech Republic, Stargate fan and extraordinary 3D artist. My name is David Reed. You're watching the Stargate Oral History Project. If you enjoy this content and you want to see more like it on the channel, do me a favor and click that like button. It does make a difference with the channel and will help us continue to grow our audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend, and if you want to be notified about future episodes, click subscribe. And giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. And clips from this episode will be released over the course of the next few weeks on the Dial the Gate YouTube channel. We had a couple of guests need to reschedule. David Nickel, coincidentally enough, we were supposed to have him on, I think it was the day before yesterday, and then Pierre Bernard as well. So I'm actively working on rescheduling them right now. Currently, we have our next show scheduled 2 days from now. Shaka and Tyler and Wodan actor Dion Johnstone. We've actually already recorded, and that will be heading your way Saturday morning, 8 a.m. And the complete list of shows is available at dialthegate.com. There's going to be a few more that are going to be added in pretty rapid succession here. I've got folks coming in all over the place, so keep an eye open because a lot more Stargate content is heading your way. We are continuing to celebrate the relaunch of this fantastic franchise, and there's a lot more cool content that's going to be releasing on Dial the Gate very soon. I appreciate you all tuning in. My tremendous thanks to my moderating team who pulled this off. Lockwatcher, he's in the mod chat right now and doing the time codes as well. Really appreciate you, sir, for making this happen. And everyone on the back end who makes this show possible week in and week out. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you on the other side.